Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And tonight, Punta Cana, Dominican Republic real estate investing. Cana Bay problems because of management rules. And people are not happy about these so-called violations. And there's more. Stay tuned. And welcome. Stop Struggling Now gear. Check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, thank you so much for being here. Please share the videos because, like I've been saying, messing up this thing of ours is very, very bad for investors. And here we go again. In case you don't know where Cana Bay is, you may have heard of Hardrock Casino and Resort. Hardrock Casino and Resort, Punta Cana, on its grounds where the golf course is, there have been projects and developments built on the grounds there. So you know what that means. Lots of sales, especially when things were $89,000, $100,000 for a one-bedroom unit, 117 and 125 around there at one time for two-bedroom units. Penthouse units cost more. But then there's some properties that cost $200,000, $250,000. Now some of the properties are $400,000, $500,000. But as with any condominium project, there's always an HOA and there's always rules. We'll get into it shortly, but first we're going to go to the Stop Struggling Now YouTube podcast channel page. Once again, share the videos, and maybe you want to check out some of these other videos that we have here on site. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. This article, there will be a link down below so you can read this short synopsis yourself. Cana Bay owners denounce property rights violations. Again, we're going to get into a little bit more. This is all they wrote. And I checked a few sources. Everybody is touting the party line. Well, if you're on podcast, you can hear this and hear it loudly and clearly. Over 300 property owners at Cana Bay Resort in Punta Cana have denounced ongoing abuses by the resort's administration, alleging violations of their property rights and threats to the legal security of their investments. Oh my. Their main grievances include restricted access to their properties, pressure to sign a so-called protective regulation. Now, speaking of protective regulations, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of such a thing, but I'm pretty sure they're going to try to protect their ass on some legal matters, and they're going to try and force you to sell or force you not to sell, force you to sign the agreement. So we're going to find out a little bit more, shall we? Because this is very, very fascinating. And retaliatory measures against those who do not or refuse to comply. Oh my. Again, protective regulation, like I said, and people are saying, I don't want to sign that. And then, of course, retaliatory measures against those who refuse to comply. Woohoo! This, you know what's coming. One landowner successfully filed a legal appeal, resulting in a court ruling from the second chamber of the land court of La Altagracia. In case you don't know, La Altagracia is the county, so to speak. There, it's known as the province there in the Dominican Republic. All right. Now, that ordered the administration to lift access restrictions and impose daily fines for non-compliance to the Cana Bay Owners Association. I don't know their specific title, but nonetheless, despite this, you know what's happening in the DR. They're going to just abuse it and say, we don't care about what the courts say. Despite this decision, property owners report that the restrictive and retaliatory practices persist. See, this right here, messing up this thing of ours where the government doesn't want to come in and heavy-handedly deal with these developers when people have spent their hard-earned money and waiting for years to have a completed project. Here we go. Let's go further. The group warns that these actions jeopardize investor confidence. This thing of ours. Yeah, damn right. This is what I've been talking about, ladies and gentlemen, particularly among foreigners. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the most significant matter. That's partial sentence right there. When I keep referencing for the last few years this thing of ours in the Dominican Republic, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It affects your future sales, and also it affects your worldwide sales, because people who've already purchased are telling their friends, and their friends are telling other friends, yeah, I got my place after being delayed for 4 or 5 years or 6 or 7, but now I'm dealing with this. You don't know how many people you are affecting by those words telling other people, and it spreads. So then you have a problem, which is like now, where people are like, you know what, I'm good. I don't really care how cheap the properties are. And by the way, the properties are no longer that cheap for pre-construction. You can find already built for less than the pre-construction prices, which is very, very interesting, but that's because we're going to have less buyers over the next year or two until the government decides to stop messing with this thing of ours and start prosecuting people that are doing dirt and making sure that people are protected. Meaning the buyers, the foreigners, the locals, everybody's protected by some law that the developers and HOAs have to deal with and go and abide by. All right, let's get back to it. The foreign investors and expressed concern that the project was promoted publicly in 2023 with President Luis Abinader present. See, all of these little promotional things where you had Luis Abinader with his shovel and making it look like he's all down with it. But then again, now that they got people to buy into the project, he's not coming to save nobody. All those millions of dollars, and people are over here bitching. Again, got to do better, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Potentially giving the appearance of legitimacy to what they consider serious legal violations. See, that's exactly what it did. Luis Abinader's going around digging the shovel going, we're all good. By the way, this right here this is something that's going to come up. This type of conversation I'm having right now. Look, let's go. This is worldwide. This conversation I'm having right now, DR is not going to love it, right? So they have this new policy. They're going to try and make laws where you can't talk about what's going on in the DR. Well, get your banking system right. Get your courts right so it can protect investors, people that buy, people that do business, people that do all the kind of things that they give their hard-earned money for. And then you don't allow Dominican businesses to just go, oh, well, you can wait. Oh, just sue me, because we know the courts take 3-4 years, all that stuff. It's got to end. Nonetheless, let me get back to it. Harmful rhetoric is what they're going to call it. Anyhow, they are calling for urgent action from the authorities to resolve the situation. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this disgusts me too much. Here we go. You guys want to hear what some people are saying? Well, I'm going to have a link down below to this as well. Here we go. Interesting. 300 is a lot of property owners. I won't comment on the history of Cana Bay developments. Roberto Cavada is a reputable source of RD News based in Santo Domingo. All right, I don't know who Franco 111 is, but nonetheless, Cana Bay property owners report abuse and retaliation by management, more than 300 owners. They're talking about the same thing. Here we go. I know this place well. It is just past the entrance to the Hard Rock, but it has nothing to do with the HR or the owner. HR is Hard Rock Casino. They have been selling for years, and people think it's part of HR. It's not. But you cannot even get into HR if you own there. One of the worst investments you can make in PC is this guy, Skies. Now, let's get, there's certain things. You can get into parts of the Hard Rock if you are a guest there. The thing is, you can be a guest at Cana Bay, right? So you can get into the nightclub, about 2 restaurants and little deli and casino. All right. So if you're staying there as a renter or an owner, you can get into those places I just mentioned. If you're thinking that you're going to be going to the Hard Rock and using some of their all-inclusives, like some of their pools and lazy rivers and water park and all that, that's not happening. You can forget about that. Also, if you want to go out to the Cana Bay Beach Club, okay, you can. But guess what? If you're a renter or a guest of your friend that owns there, you're going to have to pay $35 per person consumption fee to go out there, and that takes you out to the beach. All right? Now, the other thing, if you're an owner there, you have to pay an annual fee to even stay and go to the Cana Bay Beach Club. Right now, I only know it's around $500 per person, I believe, but we'll see in a second. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to bring this up in this little comment section here. All right. Sky says, exactly. They have, over the years, featured prominently the proximity to Hard Rock, to the point that I think I saw disclaimers at one point. They have also said, and may still say, if you put your condo into the rental pool, they will pay you a very high guaranteed rate of return. Now, let's see if there's dates on this. Oh, this is Saturday at 4:01 p.m. Today's the 17th, so this is like 4 days ago, apparently. All right. They have also said, and may still say, if you put your condo, okay, I already read that. There is a lot more about history of the projects. There's multiple projects. That's correct. There's a ton. Yeah, you can follow this. I always thought it was deceiving the way Cana Bay made their advertising look as though the project was connected to the Hard Rock. At least they did early on. I haven't looked recently. They are correct. In 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, I was under the impression when I was there that you actually might have some use of the Hard Rock. I didn't realize that if I wanted to go to the Hard Rock, not the places I mentioned, like those, the Oro, the nightclub, the casino, and a couple of restaurants where I got to pay, I thought that I was going to be able to at least get a pass of some sort for a few hours, but the way they were describing it. As it turns out, if you want to go to the Hard Rock and partake in all their all-inclusive activities, you have to pay. So like an owner might have to pay for I don't really know the numbers, but let's just say it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You might have to pay like $120, $110. But if you're a guest, you're going to have to pay like $130 to $170, depending on the hours of the day and the time. So that is crazy in itself. And that's what they're talking about deceiving. All right, let's keep going. It is not clear to me yet which property owners are complaining. There are 2 separate entities in the same area, all use the Cana Bay Beach Club. Exactly. So I don't know exactly either who the 300 are, but they all should be under one development, and I believe they are. I'm about to show you something else. All right, here we go. This person says the Cana Rock Beach, the Cana Rock, the Cana Pearl, Coral Bay, Cana Brava, Cana Green projects are promoted by private developers not related to either Hard Rock Casino or Cana Bay Beach Club and Golf Resort. Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Punta Cana does not share facilities or services with the projects mentioned above. Exactly. All right. That's it for now, ladies and gentlemen, on that. Now let's get to something else you might want. Here's the frequently asked questions for Cana Bay. This is like wild. Anyhow, you guys can go look at this at your own leisure. Premium lifestyle, Cana Bay Beach Club and Resort. This is owner services. I'll just go over some of the greens. I have purchased an off-plan unit in Cana Bay and it's under construction. Can I enjoy amenities as an owner? Yes, you can. Because as long as you have your contract, you go to the HOA or customer service office, whatever, and they'll get you a pass so you can get in the security gate and have a few passes. Up to 5, depending on what size unit you have, and you have to bring your own picture. All right, I'm just going to tell you. I'll leave a link down below. Where can I register as an owner? As I was mentioning, Cana Bay protective regulations signed by you and a representative developer who sold you the unit. Now remember, some people have a problem with this protective regulations thing, and you might have some owners right now who sees this and go, oh, I can get my pass so I can get in. Well, you might have to sign that protective regulations, and you can already see there's numerous people that are having a problem. So I would be very, very careful. Here's what the documents that you need to register, so I won't go over that. Where can I pick up my owner's card? That's called the digital, which is fine. Can I request a card for tenant with the short-term rental? No. As an owner, you can request ID cards for your tenants with rental contracts of 2 months or more. That's the only way you can do it. So if you're doing short-term rentals, the answer is no. And you also generally have to, okay, I'll just keep going right here. Then I'll let you know. For access for tenants with rentals of less than 2 months, the owner must request an access ticket through the email or through our app. Okay, there you go. How can I request access for my guests? Guests invited by owner can access through the main door with a QR code that will be sent to the applicant once the host owner sends an email to this address requesting access 24 hours before arrival, including the unit, date of stay, photo of guest ID, and vehicle registration. All of that you have to send, and they're going to give you something 24 hours before. I don't like 24 hours before, but that's the way it is. How do I request access for guests with less than 24 hours notice? Well, everybody on podcast and who's watching this, here we go. Guest access by the owner with less than 24 hours notice will require a call to the cell phone number. Okay. They will also ask you to send an email requesting access, indicating unit, date of stay, photo, guest. Okay. So regardless, you're going to have to send information. I have just received the unit. Where can I contract my basic services? You have to go through theirs. Customer service. What are the requirements to request connection to water service? They give you that information. I'm just going to go down the list here. Cana Bay Lifestyle. This is why I don't like this. This is saying, what experience does Cana Bay offer? Oro nightclub at Hardrock. Okay, fine. That's 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. Okay, so you're on site. You can go there. Hardrock Casino. You can go there. This Montserrat restaurant on site. You can go there and you can pay. 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's when they're open. Only those 5 hours at this time of writing when they did this in 2023. It might have changed. The Hard Rock Spa, that is not a benefit of anything. You have to pay for the spa, so cross that. Racket Club, okay, that's open. 2 tennis courts, 2 paddle courts, that's available to you. The golf course, you're going to have to pay green fees, which are crazy. $100 plus per person to go on the golf course, I believe. Let's see, are there plans to incorporate more experiences? Well, yeah, offered by its amenities and real estate projects through memberships and paid services. How can I access Hard Rock Golf Club? Well, there it is right here. Day pass, $114. Night pass, $83. Full day. And this looks like, that looks like passes for the Hard Rock. These might be owner rates, but these are well, I don't know if they are or not, because I know a full day pass is high. I know it was like 150 or 160. So this may be day passes for guests who are not owners. That'd be interesting. All right. Anyhow, how do I access Cana Bay Beach Club? Well, owners do not obtain any right or servitude of ownership to the beach club. So there you have it. And here's how much the memberships are. $500 per person for adults. Adults up to 24 years old. 24 years of age or older is adults. $500 per person, ladies and gentlemen. So you have a family of 4. So let's say they're 13 to 23. So that's $200. Family of 4 is going to cost $1,400 per year, which even though they don't say it's per year, but I'm pretty sure it's per year. Now, can I transfer my membership to family member or friend? No. Memberships are nominative, non-transferable, and for exclusive use of the holder of the aforementioned membership, and therefore may not be transferred to any third party. So you can forget that. Your resident, your guest can't do it. Your guest is going to have to do it, whatever, get a pass for the Cana Bay, pay the $35. Here it is. Can I purchase a day pass for the beach club? For all visitors and tenants, we have a consumable day pass, $35 per person, family of 4, $140. That's consumable, meaning that's the only way you can get through, because that goes to the beach, actually. I don't know if they've ever built another way you can just go to the beach, which they should have, because I thought Dominican Republic made it where no matter what, you should be able to pass through to the beach. But you guys will have to let me know in the comments section. How can I play tennis? This is included, so the paddle tennis courts and all that's available to you. And that's it. There's nothing else here, ladies and gentlemen. They're talking about they have their own rental management program, but I still think people are allowed to rent it themselves. Let me know what you guys think down below. That's right. Make the comments down below. I want to hear from you. I know there's a lot of Cana Bay owners. But, oh, by the way, you know we do short-term rentals around here. We like to talk about making money. Why don't we go look at Airbnb and see how many units are actually up for rent right now in this Hardrock Cana Bay area? Come on, join the ride. Here we go. Let's go. I go over here to Airbnb. I thought this was very, very fascinating. Here it is. This is the grounds of the Hardrock. And I have July 3rd through the 10th. That's in like 2 weeks. 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Flights cost more within 2 weeks, right? Today's June 17th. 2 weeks from now is going to be July 1st, which is in the ballpark. So 21 days in advance is the best fare you can get. 14 days, it starts rising. So this is July 3rd through the 10th. Anybody showing up after tomorrow or the next day are going to start paying more, and airfare to the island has increased. So much for those open skies agreement. You need airlines from the Dominican Republic to go into the United States or go into your country and come back in order to have lesser rates. And since there isn't any much of that into the United States, airfares have went up. I call it dramatically, because on the East Coast, it's hard to do $99 or $79 each way. So just letting you guys know that $200, $179, $200 round trip, might be a thing of the past. All right, let's get into it. I want you to notice something over here. Notice over here on the left-hand side. Do you see 332 places? These are all the places, all the units. You don't see that because Airbnb started doing some other crazy stuff where you have to zoom in and then it starts showing other. So these are the preferred, rentals right now. And there's 332 places available July 3rd through the 10th. Can you believe that? That is insane. So look at this. See these little things like that don't show up. And if you zoom in, this number will reduce, but let me show you. And some other things could pop up, right? As it starts see, look at all these little pills here. 939 for the week, 659, 965, 798. Look at that. Adds all of these that you wouldn't have seen before. So that is another trick. If you want to check on your staying somewhere, zoom in, and you could zoom in some more and some more will show up. So right now it's showing 20, but as you know, there's 332 available rentals in this location. Just so you guys know, stop playing around out here. This is crazy. All right. So with that said, let me know what you guys think about all this, because this is what could be messing up this thing of ours with the values down the line if you have a problem where people are not happy with the HOA situation and you have enough people to complain. This is 300. This could also mean a lawsuit scenario. The worst things that can happen is when you sue your own HOA. Now, you understand an HOA means every owner gives money to the HOA. The HOA, if they have a lawsuit against them, who do you think is going to be paying the lawsuit money? For the attorneys, which is a catch-22. So now your HOA fees go up because all of a sudden you have a $40,000 legal bill. That's the problem. This thing of ours needs to get worked out over there. Seriously. All right, government officials, you guys are on the clock. Get the laws right. So foreigners, which are the bulk of your investors, and in fact, America and Canada are the bulk of your visitors, 60 to 65% every month, visitors are from United States and Canada combined. Now, you're going to lose some of those visitors and buyers because if right now 85% of Canadians are living paycheck to paycheck. United States citizens aren't far behind. 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So your window of being able to sell to that 60% that are coming over to the visit is shortening unless there's some sort of economic boom in America and Canada, just like 2007, 8, 9, and then there was a problem, and then all of a sudden took 10 years later and there was another boom. You can't afford to wait 10 years later because you have thousands of units that have been built and are on the books that are going to be delivered over the next 5 years. Hundreds of thousands of units over the next 5 years. So therefore, your laws, everything needs to be on point to avoid, because other HOAs are going to be doing the same thing. And with all that said, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And I know it's hard out here, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why you're out here working hard for your money. Then you decide to go over to the Dominican Republic. And yes, I was also saying, go to the Dominican Republic. Make sure you have offshore real estate. Okay, we have offshore real estate, but we still need protection from government. And they're the ones that made it a tourism hub. So they're the ones that should also make sure that investments are protected to bring in additional investments. Soon as people lose confidence in investing in your country, then it starts stalling and stopping. And then you're going to find yourself with a lot of projects that go unbuilt and people who do not want to even think about coming over there. Think about all the hot spots over the years, the Bahamas, Jamaica, St. Martin. People don't even really hear about those spots to invest in anymore. You don't want to be them. Get it together. And with all that said, keep your head up. Keep moving. And I'm out.